So as you rightly mentioned, I have 10 plus years of experience in product management, and I started my career as a PM with Redbus, then worked in different product streams like B2B and B2C, and then moved to Book My Show Southeast Asia, where I was taking care of Southeast Asian region for launching Book My Show in that region. And then after that, I joined Zivame, and I worked there as a lead product manager for around 3 years. And post that, I've recently moved to TripAdvisor, where I'm leading the vacation rental business. That's brief about me, and my passions include product management and trying to build some new frameworks and try to do some case studies on product management and share it with wider audience.
Yeah, great. So I think now we can move to the Q&A session. So if any one of you want to ask any question, you can go ahead, or I'll ask a few which I have with me right now.
Sure.
Hi, Shekhar. Amrit here. I'm a growth manager currently, and I wanted to understand the role of a product manager, new initiatives, and how does it overlap with a growth manager's role, and how easy it is being a non-technical person to transition into product management.
Okay. Thanks, Amrit. So basically, there are two questions that you've asked. One is how does a transition between a growth manager to a product manager, specifically new initiatives, happen, and what is the overlap? Second is for a non-technical person, what does it take to move to product management? Am I right?
Yeah.
Great. So I'll try to answer the second question first, and then come up with the first part. So product management basically is an overlap of three functions. First one is understanding the user's pain point or understanding the consumer. So it requires a lot of empathy and soft skills which are needed to empathize the consumer's pain point need and come up with a solution. So that's one area which I think it doesn't depend on the technical know-how of the product. The second skill that is needed in product management is obviously the technical jobs, because any consumer insight or consumer pain point that you find out, you would want to solve that, and to solve that, mostly you would want to build a digital product. Physical products are the past now. Mostly need to build digital products. For building digital products, obviously, yes, you need to have some kind of understanding, a very basic understanding of how the website or an app functions. To give you an example, if you understand how data is being passed from one end to another end, from the consumer side, and how is it being received to the organization and again passed back, that simple workflow, if you can understand, that is enough. One live example is myself. I'm basically a chemical engineer. I've never written a line of code in my life, but I could transition into product management only because I could just understand the basic nuances of how technology works, and that's how I could make the shift. And the third part is, apart from the consumer empathy and the technical skills, the third part is the business skills. It is about how do you evaluate a business, what is the value proposition, what is the revenue and the cost of acquiring a customer. So these are certain terms that you're needed to understand and to make sense of the decision. Since you're already in the growth management team, you're already aware of the business part of it, and consumer empathy would come as you step into a product management role. And technical jobs is something that you could pick up very quickly. That's the answer for the second part. The first part, I think growth manager to product management, it is a very easy jump, or a very easy move, or a logical extension, I would say, because as a growth manager, you are responsible for the acquisition. So you are getting visitors and converting them as customers.
Yeah.
And basically, growth manager does a handshake with the product manager. So growth manager will bring the visitors to the website or the app, and the product manager takes over from there and converts those visitors to customers by converting them. So he's responsible for the CR, the conversion rate part of it. And the growth manager is the step above it. So in that sense, if you see, actually it is a logical conversion, logical extension, and it is an easier step.
Okay, sure. Thank you. Clarifies my doubt.
Yeah. Yes, you can go ahead.
Hi, Shekhar, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Perfect. Uh, so the major question that comes to my mind is, so I come from a non-technical background as such, and as you mentioned before that you were a chemical engineer before and then you transitioned towards product management.
Right.
The transition of you helping an engineering team or building a trust between these people. So how was that journey? How a non-technical person could do that, and is building trust really that easy? Can you just elaborate on that?
Sure, definitely. So this is the difficult part that most of the books or don't answer. Like, how do you build that trust? So I'll tell what I've done. Maybe you could take a few points from that. So initially, since I have very less knowledge on the technical side of it, I was pretty open and honest with my engineers. And when you are honest and open for feedback, and you are conveying that you want to learn, then the engineers will definitely empathize with you. They will try to share their insights or how the system works. And slowly, once you get the confidence, that's how you reciprocate when you let's say move on to the next organization. You keep on adding, learning more about it, and when you are transparent, I think that automatically builds some trust. And when you build that trust and you try to put some positive effort toward the direction that you're actually trying to learn, that it builds even more trust, and over a period of time you will overcome it, and you will have sufficient knowledge to bridge that gap. So in the initial stage, I would obviously say that be very transparent, be open, and be receptive to the feedback. Then everyone would be willing to share knowledge and bring you to their speed.
Makes sense. Makes sense. One continuation to that is, currently I'm a management associate, so I essentially act like a project manager in our startup. So I deal with a lot of teams. Deal with a lot of people. However, for me to take the next step, at least be an associate product manager, or that product space, that technical guy, uh, what are the basic skills that I should start with? Now, as of today, I hate coding. I don't, I've tried it, I've done it, but I just don't like it. Like I've been sitting in front of a computer, I still do that. However, UX really interests me, just for an example. So I like sitting in front of Figma. I like doing wireframes. Love doing, from Balsamic, or, creating those things. So do you think that making one core expertise and then being a manager is better, or do you think that you have to have all three areas at a top level and then transition towards being a manager?
So I think that's a very fair question. So we should always play to our strengths in the initial uh, phase of a career,
Yeah.
because we can't be master of all the three areas, that is UX, UI, business, and tech. And obviously, when I say UX, UI, it also includes understanding users' pain point and
Hmm.
empathizing them. So you should always play to your strength. So when you're talking to any other counterparts, let it be technical engineers or analysts, you bring your strength to the table,
Yeah.
not your weaknesses. So you talk to the team members, like what is that you are trying to drive across, and you're trying to bring everyone to the same page and moving the team forward. And at the level of APM, associate or assistant
Hmm.
product manager, the main skill that is required is execution, because at the initial level you are measured, or you are assessed based on how good you are at shipping the products.
Yeah.
So when you're responsible for shipping the product, it is important that you uh, act as a good uh,
Support
project
system.
manager,
Hmm.
support system, and also as a project manager, less of product. initially per se, because you're trying to absorb what the senior products or the PMs are trying to say. What is the um, if I have to put it in a better way, let's say there are three stages of product management. Let's say the senior PM and PM and assistant product manager.
Mm.
So the senior PMs are responsible for the why. Why is it that we need to build a feature, like a
Yeah.
high level strategy, and then the PMs are responsible for the what of like what are they executing. This is one level deeper. They're basically specifying the product requirements, PRDs, writing the PRDs and the features, and then comes the APMs who are executing on how is this getting done,
Mm.
especially coordinating with the engineers, design, UX, analytics, and pushing it sprint after sprint. So
Yeah.
as you move forward in your career, you try to answer one question at a time, from how to what to why. So every juncture is important, because at the why level, if you do not know how is it getting executed, you'll never completely empathize, or you'll never be a good senior product manager. So enjoy this role of how to get this executed. So team management and working with different teams,
Yeah.
that's really important.
Makes sense. Makes sense. One more question. I'm sorry if I'm asking multiple questions. This question might be a bit personal. Like, when was the first, when was your first product role,
Mhm.
and when did you start?
So it was in the year 2014. I think back then there were not enough product managers in India.
Yeah. Correct.
So the situation was, if you could get anyone who's decently comfortable in numerical analysis and could
Mm.
talk to his customers and is a good project manager, would be
Mm.
roped in as a PM. So that's how I joined. And as I told, my strengths are in understanding the user's pain point and doing numerical skills and data analysis and gathering insights. I would share this insight with the engineers, and I would tell them like how this, or what I have in my mind as an idea. How will it help in reducing the pain point of the end user, be it bus ticket, be it travel agent or a bus operator. How is it solving their day-to-day life?
Mm.
So that's how I used to weave the story, and sell the story to my engineers.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, while they're developing it, I would try to pick up like what is it that they're trying to do, how are they, what is the architecture design, how is the data flowing from here and there. That's how I slowly started to get inputs from them. So the product role I started in 2014 itself, but
Mm.
I didn't knew specifically like what product management meant. Um, so that's how it has started through all experiments and failed experiments, and then
Mm.
some successful experiments, and I learned. Even writing the PRD was, there is no specific template back then.
Yeah. Correct.
So we used to write. I used to write in an email like what is the expectation.
No.
Then
But don't you think
slowly
that
turn.
would have been a bit of an issue, like when it comes to communication,
Mhm.
for you to build PRDs and everything as such at that time?
Mhm.
You took it as a learning, or you took it as something that you could make it better?
I took it as a learning,
Mm.
because even the engineers did not understand, or did not completely understand how a PID looks like. So that was the situation back then. So I uh, I took some best practices of what is happening across the world, and I had some good managers from whom I picked up, and from other companies who are trying to do product management, and slowly formed a system. So it was more of do it yourself,
Mm.
PM, that PM skills that I did in the initial 1.5 year. And after that, it got fairly templatized from
Yeah.
my system again. But whenever I made a move to Book My Show, again, it was different. Book My Show had their own set of product management thinking processes, etc. So
Yeah.
that's how I could understand and get even more understand the best practices. But if you
Mm.
see right now, I think most of the best practices are outlined. The how is being already been defined. I think it's the matter of taking it head on and experiencing it. That is what is required, and the temperament, emotional temperament that you could do to stay the course. That's all is needed, I believe.
One continuation, like in terms of the same question. Now you told that you've been working throughout a lot of companies as such, and that's how you learn. So rather than a course, do you think that doing internships, working on product companies, would that be better?
So no, that would not be better in my opinion, because see, you should ship a product, and at least a few features yourself. So to ship few features, it is important that you are not on the why stage of writing a PRDs, or but at the how stage of how are you getting the PRD live into the actual website or the app. So that will obviously mean that you need to talk to a lot of people: engineering, design, testing, analytics, marketing, and other content, other people, and pushing the product live, and then taking the feedback of once you push the product live. So only once you do the initial grind of shipping few products, then only you'll realize this life cycle of product management. In internship, I don't think, see, if the internship is actually providing the end-to-end opportunity or the time frame to ship few features, then great. But if you're not actually getting the time of shipping the entire feature, no, then you'll only see half the picture.
Correct. Makes sense. I'm done. Thank you.
Thanks.
We have a question in chats. It's by a DG expert. So the question is job hopping still a taboo nowadays for PMs? Let's say if someone has changed 4 jobs in span of 6 years.
All right. I think it's not a taboo. What is your past work doesn't should not affect your present work. See, in this age of hyperscale growth startups and companies which are scaling in 1.5 years or 1 year, or let's say even 6 months, if you can actually spend 2 or 3 good quarters and are able to ship a product or release some good features, that itself is enough. So 1 quarter in a startup is equivalent to 2 to 3 years in an old economy company, in my opinion. So the time duration that you work in your previous companies should not in any way affect your future.
Okay. So anybody else has any questions? Okay, so I
Yes.
have a question that I got in the registration form. The question is by Chintan. He's asking how to learn the metrics of deciding pricing of a product when you are the first one among your competitors to create a product.
All right. Okay. This is fairly high level question, but I'll try to give some pointers of how can you solve this problem. So there are multiple ways of pricing a product. One is the cost based. You know what is the cost that you're incurring for shipping one physical product or something like that. So you do cost plus margin and do the pricing per product or per item. If it is a SaaS based product or something which is digital product where there is no physical product, then it is different. In that, what you do is you try to see what is the cost of acquisition that you are incurring for a user, and cost of acquisition, and then what you try to do is you try to add some margin around it and then price the product. These are the two ways that you initially try to price a product. But as you have more data once you initially launch the product and you're seeing some traction around the product, then what you do is obviously try to do some kind of experiment. The ideal way actually is to have a product where pricing where you take into consideration the lifetime value of a customer. what is the lifetime value that you could get from a customer? You subtract that from the cost of acquiring, that leaves you margin. And that's the secret sauce like of pricing a product. You decide what is the margin that you're comfortable at. If you're a growth stage, you might be at 0% margin, or even sometimes minus discount you can provide. And if you're at a late stage, you could add some margin percentage and you could start the pricing. But never price your product based on competition. Yeah.
Thank you, Shekhar. We have another question from Chandan.
Mhm.
He's asking how good you have to be at analytics. How does it affect product management?
Right. I think analytics is again a very important skill which a product manager should have. One I've told is consumer empathy. The right side being left or right, I think I forgot, but one side where it is creative side. The other side is to have analytical bent of mind. See, because the as a product manager, you are not sure of what you are building unless you have shipped the product and taken the feedback from the consumers. So let's say the feedback is negative, that the users are not liking it, then you should be able to quantify it. Like, why are the users not liking the feature that I've built or my product that I've built? And try to make the changes and do one more experimentation or release it. So as you see, product management is a never-ending process of experimentation. You do a lot of experiments to figure out what is the best feature, best product that you could build, and see which one clicks. And once you see that there's a feature that is being liked, then you double down and try to improve upon that feature. Now, these are all numerically led decisions where you need to have a good understanding of analytics and then base your decision on that. As a PM, you don't have infinite amount of time or resources. You have limited technical or energy, engineering bandwidth or design bandwidth. So obviously, you cannot keep on playing or doing multiple experiments until you figure out. So whatever experiments that you choose also needs to have a solid scientific backing. Why are you doing this experiment, or why do you think this feature will do good? If this feature does good, what is the uptake that you see? It could be in terms of revenue or in terms of conversion. So you should have some analytical bent of mind to be a good product manager.
Okay, thank you. There's another question by Ashwin. He's asking, what are the skills required from business side for a PM?
If from a business point of view, there are a few skills that you need to understand. So when I say business, it's basically the founders or the management. When they obviously everyone in the management or the founder, they are basically there to grow the business, to achieve profitability, uh, to have a long runway of the business. So there are certain business objectives which the upper management has. So those business objectives have to be met. At the same time, you need to ensure that your consumer is also liking your product. So as a product manager, it is important that you solve a consumer's pain point profitably so that the consumer is happy and the business is happy. So for the business point of view, it is important that just treat the business as one more consumer that you need to satisfy. One consumer is the actual end user. The other consumer is the internal consumer, that is your upper management or your senior founders or co-founders who are having some kind of business objectives or KRA set by them. So you take into consideration those objectives. That's it. I think if you try to align with the business objectives, business objectives could be that they would want to expand or grow, or they want to increase the revenue. So these are some kind of business objectives that they have. Just try to align with them. That's it. There is nothing great or specific that you need to focus on the business side of it. Just be in alignment with the management.
Satish, you can go ahead.
I see one more question about from the DG expert. Isn't the how part of product management managed by engineering managers instead of APMs? driving the how. That's absolutely correct. So the how part actually is like what solution to be built. That's driven by the engineering managers. But the APMs, I've included APMs in the how part because ultimately they are responsible for executing it. So when they're executing it, whatever decision that engineering manager takes, it's a decision on paper. Whether that is being implemented and put in life by uh, by the engineers, ultimately lies the responsibility lies with the APMs. So in a sense, the how is decided by the engineering managers, but the responsibility of ensuring that the how is completed or closed, that loop is closed, lies with the APMs.
Satish has a question.
Okay, may I ask the question? Hi, Sagar.
Hello, hi Satish.
Okay, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Please go ahead.
The thing is, as per the psychology, it states, the customers never tell the truth. First part of it.
Mhm.
It is situation based. Number two, there is a Kano model which talks about the customer preferences changes radically. See, for example, if I see maybe some product, which is solving customer problem, right? Maybe there is a tech company which is investing big, or maybe they're giving a different solution because I'm providing one of the solutions, one of the possible solutions for a particular problem, not optimal solution. I don't know, right? And yes, this is the first question. Okay, when the customer preferences are changing dynamically, which Canva model tells, right? And maybe particular time that is a requirement, but maybe down the lines, maybe 2 months or 1 month, the requirement might change, or whatever the phase say good to have, great to have, may not be existing, right? How to go about it is the first question. Maybe I will ask the second question after this.
Sure, Dr. Satish. I'll try to answer this question. I think it's a very valid question. So even if you take B2C organizations or B2B organizations, the customers say one thing, but they do other thing. So in B2B also, when you try to talk to some companies and go ask them the requirements, they'll say one thing, but they'll do other thing. Even in the consumer side also, B2C side, there are so many consumers. You can't go and keep on asking everyone that what is your pain point, what do you want us to do, what do you want us to build. No, here lies the uh, skill of the product manager. The product manager should basically read between the lines. Like what, when you ask a user what do you want, obviously he'll tell a list of all reasons. But when you say and but when you see what is trying to do or she's trying to do, you see that there can be difference between that. So ultimately, the PMs need to understand what is it that inherently motivates, or what are the inherent pain points which are not expressed explicitly by the consumer. Now that is an art that you could do by talking to few customers, or in a few understanding or going through certain calls that you've received by your call center or customer support, or the tickets that have received. So once you go through amalgamation of all these such activities, you'll try to understand inherently what are the trying to conceive, or what are the trying to convey to us. On the outer surface, there could be many requests that they want, but inherently you need to capture that. That I think that is not something that is understood immediately, but over a period of time, or by deep consumer research, you would definitely gain that. I think this is where PMs need to work or collaborate very closely with the UX teams and the user research team. The user research team, along with the PMs, we try to discover some insights. I'll give some examples of in my career also. How did we do this? So at Zivame, we were trying to solve the problems of cancellation. So there are a lot of cancellations that happened on a platform because the users are not happy with the product. Now, when we go and talk to the customers, like when we see the responses that they give when they're canceling the product on the app, mostly they select other, because they don't want to select specific reason. They just click on others and cancel the product. But we talk to them, but when we see the kind of patterns that are emerging from the cancellations, what we saw was a user, when they are canceling, when they've purchased a product, no, let's say they've purchased a product of size 32B, for example, but they've canceled the product, and later they've purchased 32C. Or from this, we have seen that a lot of users actually have done this. After canceling, they've moved and purchased another product. And users have purchased a product, cancelled, and bought the same product again in some instances, but at a lesser price because there was some discount. So through this insight, we've understood that there are two reasons. One, that the user has found a better price after they've purchased. That's why they're canceling and again purchasing. So we've given them an option to apply a discount even after purchasing. That if let's say you've found out a great discount or a deal or coupon, you can apply post purchase also. You will refund back. The other insight that we've got was users have by mistaken select a wrong size, or they've not comfortable with that size and they've wanted to shift. So for that, what we've done is instead of canceling, you could change your size before the shipment of the product or before the delivery of the product. So these were insights that were not explicitly told by the consumers, but we have to find out ways. For this, we've got the ways from understanding the cancellation data and seeing the post-purchase data, or trying to talk to some of our customer support, like why are they canceling. So this is what deep consumer empathy means, of trying to read between the lines and not explicitly see what the consumer is seeing. That is one more skill which we need to acquire, Dr. Sajesh. I hope I try to answer your question.
Yes, I got it. The thing is, you are maybe the thing is realistically, if I see something, I did the maybe identify the issue and try to do the research and come up with the UI UX or whatever it is, for a solution, right? It is taking some time. Meanwhile, if something changed, customer requirement or some new product came, which I'm not aware because I don't have control on the world, right? Some new product came, for example, in this instance, something came very significant, which is disruption. Then it is a total waste, right? Whatever the efforts I have done and everything becomes waste. And the second thing is there is a life period for every product, right? In what stage your product is, based on that your strategy will be different. The business strategy is different, product strategy is different.
Right.
Right. And the product strategy, if I'm referring, I'm specifically talking about the product. If I'm talking about business strategy, I'm talking about the business and the value, whatever it is, profit, loss, whatever it is, right? These will not talk to each other generally. These are two distinct elements.
Right,
but people
right.
will confused and say this is a strategy. I'm defining. I'm a strategic product leader, something, right? But this is the one confusion which you need to maybe probably try to clear.
Absolutely, I think that is a valid point, because most of the product leaders don't think from the business point of view. They confuse between the product strategy and the business strategy. As I mentioned earlier, business strategy basically tries to solve the why part of it. The what needs to be built to achieve that why will lie with the product, mid-level product kind of leaders. So that's where they need to be in sync with the business goals, business OKRs. What are the key areas? What is it being driven? So as you mentioned, every product goes through different cycle. Initially, a product or a company might be in the growth phase. At that point of time, the business wants to focus on growth, adding new users. They don't bother about the revenue or the contribution margin or the profit that they make. So at that point of time, the product also needs to align with them. So optimizing for the growth. Maybe at a later point of time, the business might value more on the throughput, that is the number of bookings or the number of the revenue. So for that, in that situation, the conversion rate becomes important. So the product needs to optimize on improving the consumer conversion rate from the first step to the last step. So at each step, maybe as business matures, they're more the business is more interested in how do we survive for a longer period of time. At that point of time, retention becomes more important. So product needs to align with the business goals at each juncture, understand what is that they are wanting, and what do we need to build on the product side to achieve that business goals. So both should not be in a disunion.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dr.
One more question, maybe not related to you. The thing is, a lot of people are asking, we are having a lot of options. So why Pragmatic? The thing is how it is experience learning, compared to the, lot of books which are available, lot of materials available. Then how can you make this person, from an ordinary person to maybe a product manager? There's a question, maybe Priyanka directly to you.
Priyanka can answer, but I'll try to just give one point from my side. I think, see, most of the books that are there actually are from the literature from the Western world in product management. The literature from the Indian context is very minimal. I think that's where Pragmatic can add value.
Yeah, Satish, you can reach out to us. One of our team members can help you with that. Right now, we'll just focus on like career and product management questions.
Yeah,
if that's it.
that's
Yeah.
a valid point. I think it's very simple. You have a lot of options. For example, the course is a product, right? Assume the course what you are offering is a product. Okay? Why to choose this product is the question, right? I have answers for this question, but I know a lot of maybe help. Maybe if you can answer, in a different way, which will help the remaining 15 people to get a better clarity. I told maybe I'll give differentiation. I'm not supporting Pragmatic. Okay. The thing is, the 45 case studies which you need to do on your own are part of this course. If you do maybe at least 4 or 5 case studies on your own, probably you are having a better understanding. Any question, at least maybe 60 to 70% you will be able to answer in a product management. If you do starting from scratch to till GTM, right? That's one of the differentiation. Apart from this, the placement which you are talking about is the second one. And third one is people are asking some questions, how this is a different compared to others.
Yeah. So Satish, as I told you, like we can take such questions. Please reach out to us at admissions@pragmaticleaders.io. You'll get all your questions answered there. Today we'll just focus on like core product management questions from our mentor. So please reach out to us afterwards. We'll be able to help you. We can move ahead with next question, that is with Niveen. Please go ahead.
Hi, Shekhar.
Hi, Nivin.
Hi. We just discussed about the three aspects of product management, right? One is the technical side and the user experience side and the business side. I'm a technical writer with 6 years of experience, so I'm just a new learner. So to start with the business side, could you please specify some areas to focus on?
Sure. I think from business point of view, it is if you can pick up few important concepts like for example, if let's say reading a simple balance sheet or a profit and loss statement. So P&L statement will never be used in your career in product management. But I'm saying that because when you read a P&L statement, you'll understand what are the profits, how does the revenue flow within an organization. Because ultimately, as a product manager, you are building a product and selling it to the end user, and you are a medium, or you're building a product, you are building a conduit for the customers to come to your platform and purchase your products. So you're the entry gate or the top level. Basically, in the P&L statement, if you see, the revenue lies on the top. So from the revenue comes different additions and subtractions. Ultimately, you reach at the profit level. So at the subtractions level, there are the marketing costs, the costs that are required to run an office or run certain manage some people. So this will give you an understanding. If you read a P&L statement, it will give a very good understanding, because at each stage of the business, as I talked about earlier, a product manager is trying to optimize one part of the business problem. Let's say in the business early growth stage, you're focusing only on the top line, the revenue.
Okay.
Whereas at the second stage, you're trying to optimize the cost side also. How do I minimize the cost at the same time increase the output? At the later stage, you're actually trying to optimize for a longer retention. Like how do I increase the repeats so that not just the profit and loss, but also at a longer period of time, I have a good subscriber user base who could give me repeating recurring business. So if you study P&L, that itself will give you a very good insight of how a business operates and will be a very good starting point. Apart from that, you should also try to understand from some of the growth marketing or digital marketing terms that are very frequently used. Because as a product manager, you are in very close contact with your marketing teams. Now, for example, some of the terms like what does CAC mean, cost of acquiring a customer? What does CLTV mean, cost the customer lifetime value? Okay, what is a retention rate? These are some of the terms which are used by the growth and digital marketing team that also need to understand. And there are other operational terms also that are very specific to the industry that you work upon. If you're in a e-commerce industry, then there are certain some specific nuances of business that you want to may want to learn. But for a starter, I think understanding what are the terms which are used by the digital marketing team. One, second is understanding a P&L statement. That should be enough.
Sure. Thank you, Shekhar. That answers my question. Thank you. Yeah.
Mayuk, you can go ahead, please.
Yeah. Hello.
Hello. Hi, Mayuk. Please go ahead.
Can you hear me? Okay. So I dropped a message on chat. So I just want to just want to ask you the same question. So being a product manager, user experience, worked for 4 or 5 years in a tech or CRM company with no engineering background. How does it help one get into companies like Twitter, Google, or Spotify? Because they, finance companies, hire mostly engineers, right? So, say for example, one has an MBA and work for 4 or 5 years. So, how does it help, or what does he need to have?
Definitely, Mike. I think I'll try to answer this question by giving you an overview of what all types of product managers would be there in such companies, especially in FANG. So, see, there are some consumer-focused companies, consumer-focused products, like the website or the apps that you see, Facebook, Instagram, etc., Spotify. And then there are internal facing tools which are used by the internal teams like operations, customer support, engineers, etc. And then there are other types of products that are vendors or B2B focused within Google or Twitter, etc. Like Google has some products which are built for the advertisers, for the small and medium businesses, for the enterprises, etc. So there are different products for catered to different consumers. The need for having an engineering background will arise only in products which are engineering or tech heavy, especially for internal products. But for other products which are not internal or tech heavy, like consumer facing or the business facing, these are products they do hire PMs who have a bent of mind over consumer empathy. So that's why in fact you see people of sociology background or even biology background being PMs in companies like Facebook and Google. Especially these are on the consumer and user side. So as I mentioned earlier, if you play to your strengths of being a user experience manager, so you have good chance of actually trying to apply for consumer facing side of products rather than the internal facing or the business facing products.
Perfect. Yeah, that answers.
Absolutely. I just want to reiterate again. Yeah, see, the product management function, we often get confused that we need to have technical bent of technical know-how, but technical know-how is not required at all. It is just to ensure that whatever you have in your mind, if you need to conceive whatever is there that you conceive in your mind needs to be out there as a live product. To ensure that it is out there as a live product, you need technical engineer support. That's all. If you are able to communicate with them whatever vision that you have, either through images or through a document or through any prototype or a wireframe, that is enough. If they are able to understand your language, when I say they, the engineers should be able to understand your language so that they can understand your language and idea and translate into a language which a machine understands. That's the only requirement that we need.
Okay, okay, sure.
Great. Thank you, Mayuk and Shekhar. We have another question from Ranjana. The question is, what is the biggest apprehension that potential employers have management background?
Okay. See, the apprehension would obviously be that will the person be able to ramp up and deliver? So that can be mitigated by displaying the confidence that we have and empathizing and understanding the employer, like what is it that they're trying to solve, and giving them a picture or confidence that you understand the language and you are in a position to help them or solve that pain point. I think that would assuage their apprehension.
Thank you, Shekhar.
Shastri, you can go ahead. Please ask your question.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for giving opportunity to ask a question. So here, I think before Mike has, I think you explained well in the Mike's question. So my point is like, so anyway, we'll be taking the support from the engineering team in a technical perspective, understood. But so those things will come only in the junior level or in the senior product manager, because generally companies who are in the senior product manager level, there might be some having an expectations like by saying the situation or any other issue or any want to go with any of the item need to be enhanced. So how far this can be fixed or suitable for the existing framework or something like that. At least a light needs to be presented by the product manager, it seems. I think so. So are we going to get this kind of situations when we are in the senior role, or like only the junior roles like associate PMs or something like that, so that they can take help from the engineering background and try to explain what best can be done in this type of situations?
Sure, Shastri. I'll try to answer your question by giving a background of how things operate at a senior level. So at a senior level, basically you're expected to, you're owner of the product, and you're expected to ensure that the health of the product is always stable. And when I say health, that there are no downtimes, there are no bugs, there are no live issues or any server down and something kind of an issue. And the conversion rates or whatever metric that you're focused as a product owner is always on the positive side. Now, there would be obviously some instances where the metric would go up or down. When it goes down, obviously, as a product owner, you need to be aware of what is the reason for the metric going down. Now, there are multiple reasons for a metric going down. Let's say, for simplicity's sake, let's just take the assumption of the traffic has reduced. You're responsible for the traffic, for example. The traffic has reduced. There could be multiple reasons. Maybe there was some competition who was trying to give some discounts, or there was some event that has happened, and because of that, the traffic had reduced. Or maybe you've seen that the traffic is actually reduced because of some kind of a bug which is in your system. Now, the responsibility of a PM ends there to identify the issue through the help of data. Now, if you have identified that there is no external impact on the metric, it's only internal impact. Now, it is the responsibility of the engineering team to find out what has caused and what needs to be done to fix it, and what is the time that needs to fix it. So, as a PM, your role just ends at trying to understand what are the cause and effect for a given metric. So if a metric is moving up or down, what could be the reasons for that? To identify with the help of data analysis and analytics, And once you identified the root cause, give it to the respective teams. If it is some issue with the technical team, you hand it over to the engineering team. If it is some issue with the marketing or not enough being promotions being done, you give it to the digital marketing team. If it is some issue with the customer support, they're not able to answer, or they're not answering the questions properly, you give this and raise the issue to the CS team or whatever team that it may be. So that's where the role of product manager ends. The product manager will never go and solve hands-on the problem. He just reports it to a relevant team to solve the problem.
Okay. Thank you.
We have a question from asked by user iPhone. So, as a senior PM with experience in large B2B customers with legacy and complex products, how difficult will it be for such PM to transition successfully in B2C space? Any tips?
See, I think in from legacy or P2P kind of products, no, the number of customers that you interact with will be in limited number, hardly in some single or double digits. Whereas in B2C, the challenge or complexity is that you are having millions of consumers. In the B2B space, you can go directly and maybe dial in or meet them physically or in person and try to understand their pain points and come up with the requirement. But in B2C, that is not a problem. So then how do you solve that problem? Like, how do you identify the user's needs when there are millions of users? So that's where having a good analytical skill will help you of trying to see the clickstream data, of seeing maybe whatever tools that PM uses in the B2C organization, be it Google Analytics or Mixpanel or Localytics. Try to see the data, try to see the user's flow within the website or the app and try to make a sense out of it. What could be the reasons and what is the hypothesis for users stopping at each stage and what is a critical stage? So if you, when you move, actually when you do the study, that will give you a very good confidence and insights. Like you understood the user journey. Now back it up with talking to some of the users. Now you've seen the data of how the user journey happens within your website and the app. Talk to some of the users and also see some of the consumer pain points raised in Play Store, App Store, in your customer support calls, or the reviews that they've left on Google review, etc. These are the initial good starting points that you could quickly gauge or try to understand what are the consumers trying to say in a B2C organization. From there, you build your own hypothesis and validate each hypothesis one by one to prove or disprove and arrive at the right hypothesis or right problem statement to solve. That's the standard way a B2C product manager operates, unlike a B2B product manager operates.
Yeah. We have a question by Keshav. We can take this last question because we are short on time and then we'll just wrap up the session. So Keshav is asking how and what tactics to use to get the solution on time.
That is a very open-ended question. I don't know what solution on time. And
yeah, I think Keshav is not here.
Yeah, maybe if you can repeat that question, Keshav, I can help you.
No, he's not here. So
okay.
Yeah, so maybe we'll. If anyone has any other questions.
Just one last.
Yeah.
If you can hear me. Yeah.
Yes.
So Shekhar, in the entire product, I'm given every trade has its tools, right? So even product has its own tools of the trade. Can you, in your experience, which have been the best tools, phase wise, from product development, product planning to, metric to understanding which how is the retention, and then finalizing the feedback and all. Which are the best tools that you have used, and if you can help us in some with some examples.
Sure. So I can think of few of the tools. Apart from tools, I would say more than the tools, processes are important. So if you have some good processes, then that will be enough. For example, I talk about the process and I'll tell which tool I had used for that process. So the first process is I'm talking about the B2C product management. Since I've mentioned, right, that there will be millions of customers visiting your website, and how do you make sense of that, the users who come into a website? It is important to know the clickstream funnel level data. When I say clickstream, the moment a user lands onto the homepage, from homepage, obviously there will be the next step within the website. I'll give an example of, let's say, Flipkart. You come to homepage, you select a category, you select a product, you go to checkout, and then you make the payment, and then it's a confirmation page. So these are the 7 to 8 steps. You need to understand where is the user dropping, where is the user dropping more, and where is the user dropping less. So you'll identify the exact pain point that you want to solve. Maybe the users are dropping more on the category page. Then you do a double click of trying to find out what are the reasons why are the users dropping on the category page. To do this, the good tool obviously are your clickstream funnel data of, like, you can use Google Analytics. I personally like Google Analytics a lot. Localytics is also a great tool which will help you. The second thing is, statistically, quantitatively, that the users are dropping or the users are moving ahead at a particular page of the or screen of the app. But you also want to see what is happening actually. So you want to see some kind of qualitative data while the user actually is on that page. So in here, I've used few good tools like User Experience, which is basically a video recording tool. So this records the sessions while the user is on a specific page or app or a screen. So when you find out a reason, or when you find out a step that the users are dropping more, what I do is I use the User Experience tool to see the clicks. Where are the users clicking? Are they scrolling? Are they clicking on any particular buttons? So that will give me a sense of what is happening within that page qualitatively. Thirdly, to validate whether my hypothesis, let's say I've identified a pain point, I've built a hypothesis. To test that hypothesis, what I do is I do a lot of A/B tests. Now, for A/B tests, there are different tools that you could use. I've used a tool called VWO to do a lot of A/B tests and to get the results and see if they are statistically significant or not. And based on the statistical significance, I'll roll out the release. So these are the 3 tools that I use. As I mentioned, one is Google Analytics, Localytics. Second is User Experience, and lastly VWO for A/B experiments.
All right, and for product planning, if you can shed some light on that.
For product planning, I think there's no great tool apart from Google Sheet or Microsoft Excel. Frankly, there are other product tools also. Jira is also a great tool, because I'll tell why Jira is a great tool, because as a product manager, you'll get a lot of feedback, you'll get a lot of ideas from different members. You'll get it from marketing, operations, higher management, your engineering team, everyone will be giving you ideas. But some of the ideas are important, most of the ideas are not important. So you do not know at the outset which idea is important, which idea is not important. So you need to store all that ideas or requests that you're getting. Also, you'll get a lot of requests in consumers. You need a place to store all this information. I think Jira is a great tool where you can segregate, write down these ideas as a backlog and give a tag to it. So that it will help you as a ready reckoner whenever you want to do a sprint planning, or you want to prepare a roadmap. You will have a ready-made list of all the ideas that you've got from different people, and you can do a product planning with.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Good answers.